Interstate 66 is an interstate highway in the eastern United States. As indicated by its even route number, it runs in an east-west direction. Its current western terminus is in Middletown, Virginia, at an interchange with Interstate 81. Its eastern terminus is in Washington, D.C., at an interchange with U.S.Route 29. Because of its terminus in the Shenandoah Valley, the highway was once called the Shenandoah Freeway. Much of the route parallels U.S. Route 29 of Virginia State Route 55. Interstate 66 has no physical or historical connection to the famous U.S.Route 66, which is in a different region of the United States. The E Street Expressway is a spur from Interstate 66 into the Foggy Bottom neighborhood of Washington, D.C. Route description: Virginia. Because I-66 is the only interstate highway running west from Washington, D.C., into northern Virginia, traffic on the road is often extremely heavy. For decades, there has been talk of widening I-66 from 2 to 3 lanes each way inside the Capital Beltway through Arlington, Virginia, although many Arlington residents are adamantly opposed to this plan. In 2005, the Virginia Department of Transportation studied the prospect of implementing a one-lane plus shoulder extension on westbound I-66 within the Beltway. In the summer of 2010, construction began on a third lane and a 12-foot shoulder lane between the Fairfax Drive entrance ramp to I-66 West and the Sycamore Street ramp, a 1.9-mile distance. The entrance ramp acceleration lane and the exit ramp deceleration lanes were lengthened to form a continuous lane between both ramps. The 12-foot shoulder lane can carry emergency vehicles and can be used in emergency situations. This project was completed in December 2011. The Orange Line and the Silver Line of the Washington Metro operate in the median of the highway in Fairfax and Arlington counties. 4 stations are located along this segment of I-66. I-66 East has 2 exit ramps, one from each side of the highway, to the inner loop of I-495 heading northbound. One is a 2-lane right exit which merges down to 1 lane halfway along the ramp, while a second exit ramp is a left exit, the latter reserved for use by high-occupancy vehicle traffic during morning rush hour, but open to all traffic excluding trucks at all other times. Both exit ramps for the inner loop merge prior to merging from the left with the inner loop. There is no access from the outer loop of I-495 to I-66 East. Traffic wishing to make this movement must use State Route 267 East. I-66 East also has 2 exits, one from each side of the highway, to the outer loop of I-495. One is a right exit, while one is a left exit. The latter shares a ramp with the exit to the inner loop of I-495. I-66 is named the Custis Memorial Parkway east of the Capital Beltway in Virginia. The name commemorates the Custis family, several of whose members, Park Custis Lewis and Mary Anna Randolph Custis Lee, played prominent roles in Northern Virginia's history. HOV designation and rules. Due to heavy commuter traffic, I-66 features a variety of high-occupancy vehicle restrictions. Between US 29 in Gainesville, Virginia and the Capital Beltway, the left lane on eastbound I-66 is reserved for vehicles with 2 or more occupants from 5:30 to 9:30 a.m. on weekdays, and the left lane on westbound I-66 is reserved for HOV2 traffic from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. on weekdays. The eastbound shoulder lane between US 50 in Fairfax, Virginia and the Beltway is open to all traffic from 5:30 to 11 o'clock a.m. on weekdays. The westbound shoulder lane, also between the Capital Beltway and U.S.Route 50 is open to all traffic from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. on weekdays, between the Beltway and the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge. The entire eastbound roadway is reserved for HOV2 and Washington Dulles International Airport traffic from 6:30 to 9 o'clock a.m., and the entire westbound roadway is reserved for HOV2 and Dulles Airport traffic from 4 o'clock to 6:30 p.m. This is enforced by random police presence on the on- and off-ramps, because single-passenger vehicles are allowed to enter the highway inside the Beltway in the direction of rush hour traffic when they intend to use the Dulles access road at exit 67. Police heavily monitor the 3-mile stretch between the Dulles access road and the Beltway for violations, frequently having traffic slow down to visually inspect inside each vehicle. Both motorcycles and qualified clean special fuel vehicles are permitted to use HOV2 facilities on I-66 during times when HOV regulations are in effect even without the required number of occupants. The clean special fuel designation is used primarily by hybrid vehicles, but is also available for vehicles using alternative fuels such as natural gas or electricity. To qualify for the HOV exemption, a vehicle owner must specifically request the designation when registering the vehicle, pay the appropriate fees, and display a clean special fuel license plate. The clean fuel exemption is scheduled to expire on June 30, 2012, although the Virginia General Assembly has extended the exemption every year, 1 year at a time, since it was originally designated to expire in 2006. In 2011, the exemption was modified so it applies only to clean fuel vehicles registered before June 30, 2011. Clean fuel vehicles registered after that date are not exempt from HOV regulations on I-66. In 2012, the exemption was modified to be open-ended rather than year-to-year. As of January 28, 2011, penalties for HOV violators range from $125 on the first offense to $250 on the second offense, $500 on the third offense, and $1,000 on the fourth offense. Violators also receive 3 points on the driving record on the second and later offenses. Interstate 66 outside the Beltway Improvement Project. The Virginia Department of Transportation Planning Board has added I-66 hot lanes to the list of priority projects for the I-66 corridor. The project has sparked opposition between residents and community businesses over the direction of this region's future infrastructure planning. The VDOT set up a website, Transform 66, on regional traffic issues, and residents on the I-66 corridor set up Transform 66 Wisely, a website with local community impacts as a result of the VDOT project. Many local business groups and chambers of commerce located near the affected areas voice support for transportation improvements in the I-66 region. Residents along the I-66 corridor such as Arlington County have resisted I-66 widening proposals for a long time. The local Stenwood Elementary School would lose its attached field, leaving it with blacktop-only recess space. In an April 16, 2015, letter to the Virginia Secretary of Transportation, members of the 1st, 8th, 10th, and 11th Districts of Congress wrote that VDOT research noted that during peak hours, 35% of eastbound cars and 50% of westbound cars are HOV HOV violators. Future federal steps for VDOT include NEPA review, obligation of federal funds, certification that the conversion to tolled facilities will not degrade the existing facility, and potential federal loan guarantee. The Virginia Commonwealth Transportation Board is responsible for overseeing VDOT and allocating highway funding to specific projects. The board has 18 members appointed by the governor and includes the Virginia Secretary of Transportation, Aubrey Lane, and is the group that will be making the final decision and allocating funding for VDOT's plans for I-66. District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. I-66 follows the west leg of the Inner Loop Freeway. After crossing the Potomac River on the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge concurrent with US 50, the route quickly turns north, separating from US 50. The highway interchanges with the E Street Expressway spur before passing beneath Virginia Avenue in a short tunnel. After an indirect interchange with the Rock Creek Parkway, the highway terminates at a pair of ramps leading to the Whitehurst Freeway and L Street. This is the only two-digit interstate to enter the District of Columbia on land. I-95 crosses D.C. waters for approximately 100 yards along on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. E Street Expressway. The E Street Expressway is a spur of I-66 that begins at an interchange with the interstate just north of the Roosevelt Bridge. It proceeds east, has an interchange with Virginia Avenue NW, and terminates at 20th Street NW. Further, traffic continues along E Street NW to 17th Street NW near the White House, the old Executive Office Building, and the Corcoran Gallery of Art. Westbound traffic from 17th Street takes a one-block segment of New York Avenue to the expressway entrance at 20th and E Streets NW. The expressway and the connecting portions of E Street and New York Avenue are part of the National Highway System. Exit list. The entire route is in Washington, D.C. History. Virginia, as with many urban interstate highway projects, I-66 has encountered opposition from local citizen groups. Most notably for I-66 was the construction through Arlington, Virginia, proposed in 1956. After the Virginia Department of Transportation acquired two sections of the former route of the Washington and Old Dominion Railroad to provide a right-of-way through Arlington for the new highway, the Arlington Coalition on Transportation filed a lawsuit in federal district court in 1971 opposing the Arlington portion of the project. The group objected to that urban segment due to concerns over air quality, noise and community cohesion changes. In 1972 the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of ACT, technically blocking any construction. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld the ruling in favor of ACT later in 1972. In July 1974, a final environmental impact statement was submitted. The I's proposed an 8-lane limited-access expressway from the Capitol Beltway to the area near Spout Run Parkway. 6 lanes would branch off at the parkway and cross the Potomac River via a proposed Three Sisters Bridge. Another 6 lanes would branch off to the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge. In November, a modified design was submitted, reducing the 8 lanes to 6. However, in 1977, VDOT disapproved the 6-lane design. The parties then agreed on experts to conduct air quality and noise studies for VDOT, selecting the firm of ESL Inc., the expert hired originally by ACT. In 1976, United States Secretary of Transportation William Thaddeus Coleman, Jr., intervened. On January 4, 1977, Coleman approved federal aid for a 4-lane limited-access highway between the Capitol Beltway and the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge. The highway would contain a metro rail line in its median from Vienna, Virginia, eastward. Less controversial was the portion of the highway's route immediately west of Arlington. The VDOT decided to curve the highway to bypass the City of Falls Church, increasing the highway's length while sparing the city from the road's immediate environmental impacts. The roadway was completed between the Capitol Beltway and the Theodore Roosevelt Bridge in 1982. On October 9, 1999, Public Law 106-69 transferred from the federal government to the Commonwealth of Virginia the authority for the operation, maintenance and construction of I-66 between Roslyn and the Capitol Beltway. In Gainesville, Virginia, the Gainesville Interchange project is taking place at and near the interchange between U.S.Route 29 and I-66, aiming to upgrade facilities for those and many other roads due to rapid development and accompanying heavy traffic in the Gainesville and Haymarket area. I-66's overpasses were reconstructed to accommodate 9 lanes and lengthened for the expansion of U.S. 29 to 6 lanes. These alterations were completed in June 2010. U.S. 29 is also planned to be largely grade-separated in the area, including an interchange at its current intersection with State Route 619. Land for this has been acquired. The project overall began in 2004 and completion is slated for late 2014. District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. I-66 was planned to extend east of its current terminus along the north leg of the Inner Loop Freeway. I-66 would have also met the eastern terminus of a planned Interstate 266 at US 29, and the western terminus of the South Leg Freeway at US 50. I-266 would have been a parallel route to I-66, providing more direct access to the north leg from points west, while I-695 would have been an inner-city connector between I-66 and I-95. The final plans for the North Leg Freeway, as published in 1971, outlined a 1.5-mile 6-lane tunnel beneath K Street, between I-266, US 29 and New York Avenue, where the north leg would emerge from the tunnel and join with the center leg freeway. The two routes would run concurrently for 3/4 of a mile before reaching the Union Station interchange, where I-66 was planned to terminate. Despite the plan to route the north leg in a tunnel beneath K Street, the intense opposition to previous scrapped alignments for the D.C. freeway network, which included previous alignments from the North Leg Freeway, led to the mass cancellation of all unbuilt D.C. freeways in 1977, resulting in the truncation of I-66 at US 29. Exit list. All exits in the District of Columbia are unnumbered. Auxiliary routes. Interstate 266 was a proposed loop route of I-66 between Washington, D.C., and Arlington County, Virginia. District of Columbia officials proposed designating the route Interstate 66 North, a move opposed by the American Association of State Highway and Transportation officials. In Virginia, Interstate 266 would have split off from Interstate 66 just east of the present Spout Run Parkway exit. Further, it would have followed an expanded Spout Run Parkway, crossed the George Washington Memorial Parkway, and crossed the Potomac River across a new bridge that would have been called the Three Sisters Bridge. Upon entering the District of Columbia, it would have followed Canal Road and an expanded Whitehurst Freeway to rejoin Interstate 66 at K Street. Interstate 266 was cancelled in 1972 in the face of community opposition during Washington's freeway revolts.